Good evening, Trilogy Nation. Scott here. We are Season 2, Episode 10 of Trilogy Live. I think things are going pretty well so far with the various interviews. I'm getting a lot of feedback, and we're getting a variety of people. Tonight, we got Chris Smitty Smith. We're going to bring him on here in a minute. But we did Logan Harpool last week. Next week, we are doing Steven Schroeder and Rebecca Cox. And tomorrow night, we have Eric Oakley. So again, lots of videos, lots of interview coverage. So make sure, if you're not already, subscribe and share. Those who are watching today, share and just get this content in front of people. My goal is to try to interview not just the players that you know who are out on the course, but also those players that you don't know who are movers and shakers in their own right, in their own community. So, without going too much further here, let's bring on our guest of honor here. We got Chris Smitty Smith. How you doing, Chris?
I'm good. How are you?
I am doing good. So, what's life like for you nowadays? You're a teacher, so kind of like we talked to Logan last week. What's your life like right now with the whole Corona stuff?
It's a lot different. It's crazy. Unlike Logan, I teach technology.
Okay.
It's hard for people to believe. So a lot of my stuff is already pushed out via the internet anyhow. So my transition's a lot easier than his. And I just miss going to school. I became a teacher because I always had fun at school, and that's, I like to go there and have fun with the kids and my colleagues. So I miss that.
Yeah, I mean, I've been working from home for years, and it's just the simple things that I miss being out and about. So you as a technology teacher, was it very hard for you to, I mean, your school's all online now, right?
Yeah.
Was it very hard to adapt doing that full time, not only for yourself, but even like the students? I mean,
yeah, it's been a challenge. I mean, when you're right there in the classroom with them, it's so easy to look at their computer and see what the problem is and, problem solve. But when I get an email at 10 at night that says, Mr. Smith, I can't get into this, and, I don't know, are they logged in under their brother's account? Is their computer jacked up? So I spend a lot of time trying to solve problems, and then sometimes I just zoom into them and their parents. So.
No, just from a behind the scenes thing, and this is probably more of a curiosity for the people watching, but also for myself, are the school systems doing anything with the idea that this doesn't end? Or this doesn't end soon?
There's a little bit of talk about maybe next school year might not, start right as planned, and I really hope it does. I mean, I think that the social aspect of school is every bit as important as what you're learning at school. Learning how to deal with people and treat people correctly. And
well, they say that time is the best time of your life, and I often try to tell the kids is when they talk about school as high school, but even college degree, I'll say that you're going to school to learn fundamentals, but some of those fundamentals are just your life, and it's learning how to socialize, it's learning how to choose right from wrong, and so yeah, I totally agree with hoping things get back to normal. I've got my wife's 3 kids. We got a middle one that's in college, and she's a social junkie, and she's just going crazy. And then I've got another one who really doesn't have an interest in people and just likes the online and video games, and has said he's like, I'd be okay if it stayed this way. Where the girl is like, oh no, if this doesn't change, it's like I'm gonna have to figure out something different.
Yeah. I get up at 7 o'clock and go through Google Classroom, which are all my classes, and try to see what's happened, since I quit the day before. And I try to give feedback to the kids. Hey, maybe you should try this. And usually by the time I'm wrapping that up, my oldest kid is saying, hey, let's go fishing, and my youngest kid has disappeared to play games. So they're adapting well. They're staying busy, but it's driving me nuts.
Yeah, and I've been seeing, and you've been doing it for a few years, but I've seen your oldest. You guys have been doing a lot of fishing. Used to really be into like skateboarding. Are they still doing that kind of stuff?
No, he gave that up. Too uncoordinated.
Is your youngest, is he fishing?
He hates it.
Okay.
He hates everything, I think, except video games.
Sounds like my youngest as well. It's like if it's anything other than video games, every once in a while I have to disconnect the internet just to get him to come downstairs to try to reset it. But just so we could have hey, how's your day going?
Sometimes it breaks.
So, all right. So I've known you for quite a long time. So for those who don't know, I've known Smitty since the late 90s, somewhere in that area. I'm pretty positive I played with you in your first tournament back in Ransom, Kansas. I don't remember which year that was, but that had probably been like 99.
Probably 98, 99.
Somewhere in that area. So, so I wanted to introduce Chris to the community. He's a big part of disc golf here in Kansas, and we're going to get into that. But just to kind of start with the basics, let everybody watching, your locals, the KDGA people, the Disc Golf Nation in general, kind of tell everybody your story, like how you got started until how you got to where you're at now.
Well, in 1993, I went to Fort Hays State. I was a cross-country and track guy. And people who don't know, Fort Hays, Kansas then it was the premier course in Kansas, and it's still up there with one of the best. And we would run through that thing, and I'd see these guys out throwing Frisbees and carrying handfuls and bags, and God, we would give them so much crap. Why do they need so many, and what's going on? And finally, one day, we went out and played. So I went to Walmart and bought a #1 slice. It was the only Frisbee I was ever going to need. I remember telling my roommate Jason that because it glowed in the dark, it floated, and it told me what it was going to do. So it was the only one I was ever going to need. So, and then, I just kind of, at that point, I just kind of tinkered and did nothing. Just, we'd go out and play after practice once in a while. And I got my first job in Ransom, where I met you. And I think that was in 98. We left for the state track meet. And I'm telling you, man, if some guy farts in Ransom, the whole town knows. We go to the state track meet and come back, and right next to my house, a disc golf course popped up. I couldn't believe it. So that pretty much ended any running I was doing at that time. And from then on, it's just been disc golf, disc golf, disc golf. So.
Do you still have that lightning disc?
A #1 slice? No, it floated. Right down the middle.
At Hayes?
No, that was actually probably Wichita at some point when I went there and played.
So my very first disc was an Innova Dolphin that I got at Walmart. Probably, I started in 95, so I guess it would have been 95 or so, and I lost it in the Hayes River.
Well, I got a good dolphin story.
What's that?
When they got that course in Ransom, do you remember Smokey Fairbanks?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he was just a freak athlete his whole life. The guy was nuts. He could do anything. And he was the best player in Ransom. And, I had just played with my college buddies. I never played with anybody else. We get out there, and that dude is flicking a dolphin, just crushing it. So I'm like, great, I'm doing everything wrong. I was a backhand thrower. So I started flicking. Everybody in Ransom flicks. And this was 20 years ago. People didn't flick 20 years ago. That's a new thing. And so, of course, I go and buy a dolphin, and that was going to be, oh, my gosh. And then I think at the first tournament when you guys all came to Ransom, and we get out there, and very first hole, everybody backhands, and I flick. And at that point, I knew I was in trouble. But, 20 years later, it's a great skill to have.
And I'm still not a good flicker.
So, you're old school.
Yeah, I can do it, but backhand turnover just still seems easier in some cases. So we got an old school buddy of ours, Don Mordecai, on the board.
Yeah.
So he's saying hello. So, all right, so we're disc golfing. We know you from Ransom. before I go into this next piece, I do want to share with you. I ran across it the other day, and I couldn't find it for the life of me today, and I was going to bring it and show it to you. But I ran across your trophy poster. Do you remember those posters you made?
Yeah.
So I still have that, and it's somewhere close to me because I ran across it here in my office. It's just I don't remember where I put it now. But so for as long as I've been teeting, and you've been teeting ultimately just as long now, that has always been such a cool idea. Do you remember how you had those pictures and you had those present at the tournament. So you had to have someone close who had editing skills, camera, printer. Is that pretty much all it was?
Jason Huxman was the guy's name. We called him Big Sexy. And he was just a computer whiz. And he could do all that stuff. And yeah, the second round, he kind of knew, based on the first round scores, who was going to win. And he was out there taking pictures of everybody that was top 2 cards. And as soon as we got done and started calculating scores, he ran all the way across Ransom, 2 blocks. And we had the template made. He just had to plug the pictures in. And yeah, I remember Alan Wilson won Open.
Yeah. He
tells me all the time that he still has that trophy. I think I was advanced.
Dusty Ream.
Stacy. And then I think Josh Kramer might have been novice. And were you on the?
I wasn't on it, no.
Yeah. And
you beat me in advance.
Looked like Disc Golf magazine or Disc Golf News or whatever it was at that time. So,
yeah.
Yeah, it was pretty cool.
And it seems I've seen it a couple times over the years, and with always trying to do something different at all my events, I've always thought of that. And especially as my role with media has gotten in there and I've got better equipment, it's like, man, I just need to find somebody who can do that. And I just always thought it was a really neat idea. So little rabbit hole to go down, but
so much easier to do now than it was then.
Oh yeah. But I've never seen it done.
Boom. Yeah, it was good. Yeah, those are fun. We always had that tournament was always a blast, man. We always said if we had less than 25 people, we'd pull the plug, and every year we'd have 26 or 25, so we could never end it.
Well, a lot of those tournaments at that time, I mean, you had Russell and I haven't been in that area so long, can't even remember some of the names, but Stockton. I mean, tournaments that were just kind of surprised they ever happened, but you got just enough, and they were always some of the most fun tournaments.
Yeah.
So. Yeah.
Did you ever play Stockton?
Yeah, I ran Stockton for the last couple of years before I left. Yeah.
The very first time I went there, you know how you come in from the south, and I was coming in from Hayes, and I had never been there, and there's no Google Maps or anything. I'm just tooting along in my truck, and I'm like, oh crap, there it is. And I pull off and go, I'm pulling in the driveway. I'm like, man, this looks a little weird. And I pulled right into that minimum security prison, and I'm just driving around, and I knew it was the wrong spot, and I had to get out there, but nobody ever stopped me. I couldn't believe it. Drove right into a prison. And
I think when I don't remember if we ever even changed the name, but Harvey Barger had that not the prison open. I don't know if you remember, he had all of those wood plaques made up, and he used those for like 2 years straight, maybe even longer, and he came up with all these crazy names with like the not the prison open, and it just that was the only reason I knew, and I was in Hayes at the time, so you're right, I had to drive past it, but that tournament actually has, for the KDGA guys that are watching, it has some history where it was the Saturday, Beloit was the Sunday, and then it was either the last year I ran it or the year before, we converted that to a 2-day, and we called it the Kansas State Championships. But before that, it was just the Chautauqua Open or something like that.
Right.
And now it's still a huge event on the KDGA with as far as the atmosphere and I don't know what kind of attendance you're getting, but
it's the best, man. Yeah. It's the best tournament we have all summer. It's 2 days. We fill up every year. They got a new pool in Beloit. It's got 2 awesome slides, a lazy river. and we rent the pool for a couple of hours. We have a huge barbecue. Oh, it's just so much fun. And I've won it 5 times.
Yes, since I've been back to Kansas, which is 2011, I've made it to Harrington a few times, but my schedule has gotten so busy here in Kansas City as its own world that every year I tell myself is like, I need a KDGA year. I need to go back just to reminisce, and got Don on the board, but yeah, head out to Norton, go out and play Hayes and Beloit, and you've got a few events, but even the Wichita tournaments, those I rarely go to those, and that's where my mother and daughter and them live now. So just, occasionally, but yeah, I miss a lot of the old school tournaments, and I tell myself I'd like to at least go back out there and, see some old people.
And I can't wait for them to start up. I miss going to them just to, the tournament itself is fun, but just hanging out with all those knotheads at lunch and after around and just laughing and giggling and carrying on is just, I can't wait.
Yeah. You know how busy things are going to be? Once they announce things are clear, everybody's just chomping at the bit to compete and get out and play.
Those first tournaments are going to just fill in seconds.
Yeah. Hey, I was getting ready to go into my next question, but at 7:20, for those who are watching, we're doing a raffle drawing. Since we have about 4 minutes till that starts, I don't want to get into a next question, but in the next couple minutes, why don't you go ahead and kind of just explain to everybody what you've been doing and why we're doing a raffle.
Yeah. Well, I posted some discs on Facebook in our Wichita page, and I was just trying to get rid of some stuff, and get some things out there. And a guy sent me a direct message, and he says, "Hey, I'll buy every single one of those discs if you give me the towel." Because I was giving a towel away if I could get rid of all the discs. I'm like, okay, sure. And he's like, "But there's only one stipulation." I said, "All right." And he says, "Well, Chase he wants one, so make sure he gets one." Cool. And he said, "And then find a cool way to get rid of the other 7." So this whole week we've just been posting different things each day. I've been trying to post something like a feel-good deal, like who got you into disc golf, or we did who would be, if you could pick your 5 people to play with the rest of your life, who would it be, and what do you do to help disc golf? So we've been doing that and drawing names, and just about every day somebody else has sent me a message and said, "Hey, sweeten the pot a little bit, or add this to it," or so tonight we're going to give away 3 things. We're going to give away a disc that I have behind me somewhere, whatever they want. Trilogy-wise, we got about everything. We're going to give away this black and blue banner, and we're going to give away this black and white banner. So,
And every day, has the numbers been steadily increasing, or have it been pretty consistent?
Well, I tell you, we knocked it out of the park today because all they had to do is tell us when they first played.
Oh.
So everybody's like that. And yesterday was kind of a low day because I made them toot their own horn. I said, "Tell us something that you do for disc golf." And there's a lot of people that would get on there and say, "Well, I don't do much," but that's everybody does something.
Right.
That's the greatest thing about disc golfers is they're so willing to give back to the community, and picking up trash is something, and
Yeah.
I see people doing that all the time, or helping a new guy get around the course. Have you ever been to a disc golf course and went up to a group and said, "Hey, can I play with you guys? I'm new," and have them say, "No, get lost." No, they'll let you play with them. In. So
I get people all the time who will ask me what they can do to be involved, but they don't know a lot. And I'll almost say the same thing as you do. It's like, just be nice to the people that are out on the course, clean up trash. I go, if you're online, I go, social media now goes a long ways. You got a tournament or work day, share it. Tell some friends about it, kind of help spread that information. And there's a lot you can do without having to be in front of a camera or standing in front of an audience of people or building a course or things like that. And in all honesty,
dollars or anything, just
in honesty, all those little things help tournament directors make it that much easier. So if it wasn't for those guys, our job would be a lot harder. Our job looks hard in some cases, but it's really not because you get all the people helping.
2 of the guys said, "Well, I don't do anything," and both of them were super instrumental in helping me run the Little Apple Open last year. They just without even asking them, they both just jumped in, and Chase and Daniel George both just took over different parts of the tournament and freed me up from having to do anything. That was our first time we tried the electronic scoring. I think I called you because the second round wouldn't start.
Yep.
So.
Well, I'm sure you know, but those people may not know. But the KDGA logo originated from the Little Apple Open.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yep. I can't remember. So it seems like it was a Jason something and maybe a Tom. They ran the Little Apple Open the very first year that it was there. And those names may not even be right. But that was the logo of the Little Apple Open. Well, I was running the KDGA, and they presented it like, hey, we'd like you to use this for the KDGA. And that was the same time we came up with the KansasDiscGolf.com. So we used it for that logo. But yeah, it originally started as the very first Little Apple Open logo.
Cool.
So,
that's cool.
And that's where you see my history. Some of the stuff that came in prior to you, which we'll talk about in a little bit. But it is 7:21. So you want to go ahead and then start your spiel, and then I will do the random.org. And I don't see him on the board yet, but we have Chase on the board who will tell us who those winners were.
And even if he doesn't chime in, we'll know the numbers, so we'll be good. So we just need the first three numbers that you can pull out.
Okay, all right, give me a second, guys. All right.
131 people today.
We have 131. I have random.org on the screen. And what are we drawing for first, the banners or the disc?
The disc. Any disc out of my collection behind me that they want.
All right, so we're going to generate right now. First one. First one is number 14. Even to help you out, I'm putting it in the board, number 14, disc golf disc.
There we go. And now we'll do the blue and black banner.
All right, hitting the second number right now for the blue and black banner is number 111.
Hey, that's me!
Is it?
Number
111.
Oh, that's not me.
111 blue and black banner is on the board, and then the third one is the final banner. I don't have you on my screen, so I can't see it. What color is that banner?
Black and white.
Black and white banner generating number 117. Black
Perfect.
and white banner. So everybody who is watching, Chase or Chris will get on, and Chase is on the board, and let me get you back on here. 1 second, I lost my screen.
Uh-oh.
There we go. I got you back. Way too many
All right,
windows
well,
up. I was clicking all the wrong windows.
When you announced 111, I thought it was 1. I jumped out of my chair, man.
You were getting ready to get a banner.
Oh, yeah, I needed another one.
So, well, that was, see, hold on. Chase got on the board. Number 14 was Greg Larmer. Won the disc. The blue and black banner, which was number 111, went to David Weaver. And he hasn't announced the final one just yet. Super awesome.
Yeah, that's fun.
So, all right. So we'll get back on track here, and now I'm kind of going through. You got Don Mordecai on the board still. You got Jeff Layhawk, Craig Winters, Chase. So a few guys. All right. So we're talking about the KDGA, and for those who don't know, I'll just set myself up a little bit into where Smitty went. So prior to me, the Kansas Disc Golf Association was ran by Harvey Barger from the mid to late 80s until about 97, 98, somewhere in that area. I think 98 was the year I officially took it, but 97 I was doing it. I just didn't have the handover yet. And I did that until I joined the Air Force in 2003. And in 2003, and this is probably where I don't remember. I remember I handed it off to Brandon Mace. And I feel like there was at least one or two other ones, and I don't remember if you were part of those or not.
Yeah, it was me and Brandon and Michael Schoenhofer maybe.
Who was Schoenhofer?
Bonhoeffer, I think.
Okay, and I thought Kyle was in there too, but Kyle Klinger.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, he did the website for a long time.
Right. Mm-hmm.
So, all right. So you took over you was a threesome or 3-4 as a team. Took over the Kansas Disc Golf Association in mid to late 2003. I think I left in May, so somewhere right in that area. Kind of let everybody know who knows what the Kansas Disc Golf Association, but even those who don't know or aren't anywhere from your area, what it is and kind of how you came to be where you're at, kind of as because you're pretty much the solo entity with a few helpers now, right?
I wouldn't say that. I mean, I think that people think that I'm the person in charge, but we always have a meeting and we have a group that we chat about what's going on. But if somebody's mad, I usually will take the heat, and
okay.
I'm kind of like, I used to push it a lot harder than what I do now. And
well, I'm glad to hear that, because I guess I didn't realize that. And again, I've been away from it for so long, and I know you've had some helpers, but when I left in 2003, kind of seeing the way it was being run before me, and even not liking everything on my shoulders, I think when I left, if I remember the conversation correctly, the idea was to make it a committee. Make it to where maybe you have someone who's ultimately in charge, but it was going to burn out if only one person was going to do it forever.
Yeah,
so
for sure. It's a lot of work. It's really cool what we do. I don't know how many other states have it. We statewide tour that can be PDGA sanctioned, and if it is a PDGA event, if the TD is a member of Kansas Disc Golf Association and they want to run a PDGA event, we'll reimburse the sanctioning fee. And you just basically you collect points based on how you perform in each tournament and try to be the top point earner in the state each year. And that's why Leahy's on there. He wanted to make sure that I announced that he won it last year. 2 years ago, I told him an AM master would never win it. So he proved me wrong as an AM grandmaster. He won it.
is his face on a disc or a shirt?
Yeah, it is both.
Okay.
Yeah. That's one of the perks. Crispin usually designs us a disc and a shirt and puts the previous year's champion on there. I think that started the first time that maybe the first time Ben Wiggins won it. I think that happened. So
okay.
yeah, and we do a lot of good things. We have a course improvement fund that will do a matching fee up to $500 to a course in Kansas that can be used on anything except baskets. And the only thing we ask is that somewhere on there it says sponsored by or supported by the Kansas Disc Golf Association. We do a food drive, which is a really cool thing. DD this year helped us out by giving us a good rate on Frisbees, and we collected a bunch of sponsorship to start, which drove our cost even lower. And the rules are simple. If you're a KDJ member and you want to run a food drive, we'll supply the Frisbees, and all you have to do is make sure each person gets a Frisbee, and any money that you raise, you give to charity. So I think this year they paid $6 per disc, which is really a good price for, we had some tournament fundraiser discs in there. And if they charge $25, that's $19 a person going to a charity. And, so I think the Winfield crew, raised maybe over $2,000 just in their little community of Winfield this year at their food drives. So
okay.
In a small town, $2,000 going to your food pantry can make a big difference.
Oh yeah.
So that's one of our big things. And then just trying to promote disc golf. And if it wasn't for the KDJ, I wouldn't be doing disc golf. It never would have came to Ransom, and I wouldn't have realized, you can do this all over the place, and it's all the same people.
Yep. How many events are on the KDGA schedule?
Too dang many. We used to have a rule that one event per weekend was our deal, and then we had to go to Saturday and Sunday. And now it's just like the PDJ. Every course has an event, and they all want to have it be part of the tour, so we adopted the 90-mile rule. So, yeah, it's tough.
Right. Give me a number. Give me not an exact number, but I want people to hear how busy.
I think there was over 30 last year for sure.
Okay.
Maybe more.
Yep. And that's not accounting the food drive events.
Oh, no. There, I think we had 14 or 15 of those this year.
Yep.
And then the actual tour.
Yep. So that was one of the things I wanted people to understand, and knowing the KDGA is it's busy, and it runs throughout this entire state from ultimately corner to corner. You've got these different events, and they're a variety of different events from C tiers all the B tiers. I don't know if you have any A tiers on there anymore, but I know you have in the past. And but it's an undertaking, and as you used to be the Kansas State coordinator before I did it, and I think you've been doing the KDGA as a part of it for 17 years now. I've been the Kansas coordinator, I feel like since 2012, I think, or 13, somewhere in that area. So even as those things have changed, I don't deal with the KDJ schedule, but I get a lot of questions on my Kansas schedule that has to do with the KDJ stuff, and it's just interesting the interweave of.
It's tough too, and people's feelings get hurt all the time because well, this is the weekend we've always ran our tournament. Why is this crew doing this? Well, it ultimately probably falls back to you and me and whoever's doing it for not communicating. But we just, it would be a total nightmare if we tried to plan everything out. But we do what we can do.
Yeah, I find in a lot of cases, and I not only do I do Kansas, but I also do all of Kansas City. And Kansas City has 60 to 70 tournaments just in Kansas City, and sometimes they're overlapping on same days. But what I've learned is, even as I've watched from Topeka to here, or various states, is it doesn't really seem like it hurts to have sometimes those competing events. People are going to travel or they're not, but having those options, I think, is an awesome thing.
Yeah, it's great to be able to play. I mean, if everything was normal, you could play a tournament every single day, on any weekend, any day, the whole year. There's always something going on. So,
right. Well, Mr. Mordecai is on the board saying there were 54 KDGA events, which included food drives that are on the current schedule for 2020. And then Craig responded, plus there was a few that dropped due to the COVID.
Yeah.
So
they could see how many there were last year just by changing the date.
Oh, right, yeah. Are you still doing the K ratings?
That was Brandon Nelson, the Swede, did that because. Did you ever play 1880?
No, I watched it and wanted to be a part of it, and of course, yep, it was one of the ones on my list, and
it was it was probably the single greatest disc golf idea ever. He took the same formula the PDGA used, and he applied that to all Kansas events that he could get results from. And that's tough, man. When I go to a tournament, and one tournament I'm Chris Smith, and the next one I'm Christopher Smith, and then I'm Smitty.
Yeah.
And then I go to some podunk tournament and I sign up as who knows what, just to be goofy. It was such an undertaking for him to figure out what everything was. But he would take all these ratings, and you and your teammate couldn't be rated over 1880 together. So it just completely flattened the field. So any 1,000 rated players had to go, find 880 or below. And man, it was tough, and it was so much fun. And we wouldn't just play normal doubles. We would play best shot, we'd play alternate shot, we'd play worst shot. So, yeah, and I played with Jeremy Kendi.
Nope, yeah.
2 years in a row. He's the ultimate 1880 partner, because the only thing that keeps him that low rated is he can't throw more than 300 feet.
Right.
But if you get him in 250 and in, dude, he's putting you on the pin or putting you in the basket. So Yeah, he was the greatest partner you could have.
I've always loved the concept. I mean, I won't lie. I've been in my role with tournaments. I've thought about replicating it a few times, and it's just more for me. It's more of I already have so much going on, but
Yep.
I've been waiting for somebody to replicate it and do it. It was a great idea, and I remember it had some pretty cool trophies.
He always had awesome trophies.
Yeah.
Every year he'd do something awesome.
Do you remember what year me and you went to Texas and played doubles?
No, that's when I learned I liked pecan pie, though.
Yeah, yeah. We had pecan pie at our. It wasn't an Airbnb, but it was whatever those were, bed and breakfast or something.
Yeah, that was in San Saba, right?
Yep.
The John Houck place.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was I don't know. It was a long time ago. Did I play with you the first year?
I played with you. I don't know if it was your first year. I had played it once or twice, I think, before you. I played with Jeff Culp one year before.
Okay.
I think I've been like 3 times. But
I know I played with John Cunningham in San Saba.
yeah, I played with Jeff in Round Rock, and it was at Round Rock before San Saba.
Okay. So San Saba was my first one, so I think maybe you and I may have been partners.
Me and you partnered one year for sure in San Saba.
That was the only time I went there was to San Saba. The rest were at Wimberley.
Yeah, and that was a good time. I remember we stayed in the house, had the pecan. We had a group of people, which I really don't remember who was all even in the house. I remember getting a speeding ticket on the way home.
Widener.
Oh, yeah, Widener.
And Ream and Cunningham.
Keisner?
And,
Is it Keisner?
Kevin, 2K.
Yeah.
He might have been there. And, man, I can't remember. That was a long time ago.
You guys, podcasting guys, didn't know we were going to go down memory lane today.
You know, I don't even know if I was that hungry or if I liked pecan pie or if I was just that hungry by the time we got there. Gosh dang, that was good.
Yeah, I've talked about it a few times. When I talk about food, I talk about key lime pie, and I talk about Florida, and I'll talk about the trip of the pecan pie. And I don't know that I'm now I was like, I'm not even a huge pecan pie fan, but in my mind, I remember loving it on that trip.
Yeah, we were just hungry.
So, all right. So I'm going to break away from the KDGA a little bit. And we'll talk about you as a competitor. So you've been competing since about 98. Just to kind of give you little stats, or for those who don't know, you have been on and off 1,000 rated since 2005. So for 15 years. I looked it up from there. In 2019, you were the number 1 ranked Masters player. You play MP40 now. In 2019, one of the only 3 pro Masters in the state of Kansas. And currently for 2020, you're number 3 in MPO, because you haven't played an MP40 yet. And you are number 3 when it comes to 1,000 rated with your boy Logan Harpool, who has just come out of nowhere to just kick everybody's butt.
He's good. He's
Yeah.
good.
And then Isaac Heinen out of Kansas City here, who is also just progressively getting better. But you've played for a long time, and you've played pretty consistent. I mean, within Kansas, I know you've done a lot in Oklahoma. You've gone to Texas, Dallas area, or those areas a few times, Kansas City. But you've never really been known for touring. And as a teacher, where you have the summer off and you have I don't know if you have the time, but at least you're not working during that time. I mean, families might be what's the change, but why have you never toured? Why have you never really gone outside of those couple states?
Well, you nailed it. It's number one. I got 2 kids that I could never be away from for any significant amount of time. They count the most, and I've always worked. I've never been able to just have disc golf be my thing. And probably when I was would have been capable of competing at some of the bigger events, disc golf sponsors didn't give you money. You still had to cover everything, and you couldn't stay on the road on disc golf winnings. No way. So, I mean, you'd get Frisbees, from your sponsor, which some people get still today. But having financial backing would have been phenomenal. And you know what? I still don't think I would have done it probably. So maybe when I retire and I'm 60, I can hit the Senior Grandmasters Tour.
I was going to say, by the time you're MP50, I mean, what are you, 43, 44? Higher? Okay, it might be.
47.
40 what?
7.
Okay, I'm 44, so I thought you drew and run at the same time. But so I was going to say maybe the MP50 tour, because your kids would be older, but you've got more than 3 years before your youngest is out. So you're right, it might be the MP60 tour.
Yeah, maybe. I gave Am Worlds a run once when I was in Kansas City as an advanced player. I gave Pro Worlds a run once. I tried to win a Masters World title once. So, hopefully Ron Kahn will slow down by the time I get 50, and I'll give that a shot. So,
I don't see that happening.
Thanks for the confidence.
No, I don't see Ron Kahn slowing down.
No, that's what I'm saying. Thanks.
I do have
Yeah, that guy was old 20 years ago and good.
I beat him at Hayes one year, and just for being a Ron fan, he played probably one of the worst golf he ever played, but I don't care. On the score sheet, he's behind me.
Probably the only time.
I'm certain it was probably the only time. So, so you don't travel a lot. You do a lot locally, but I think you have at least the knowledge. You understand, you pay attention. Do you ever miss the idea of going on tour, or is it more of you just don't have an interest in that lifestyle at all? If your family wasn't an issue, as an example, if it was just you.
Yeah, if I didn't have any other responsibility other than me, for sure I'd just be worried about having fun. So, and to me that's what disc golf is fun. And I don't know if the guys on tour look at it that way. So, if I go to a tournament, I'm going there to have fun and see people, and I don't know. Yeah, I don't know that I would ever tour. I don't know that's me.
And I've never been even to your skill level. I think 960 something is the highest I've ever been rated, but I've always done a part of stuff. And my lifestyle has made it to where I've never toured, but I've traveled to just about every big tournament. I go to the majors most every year, but I've had to do it from a media perspective or a TD perspective. And even from that angle, I'm a lot like you. I'm going there to see things and to have fun. And I've thought about, if I would have had the opportunity, I have 2 years left until my youngest is ultimately out of the house, to where I could do that more, even as a competitor or if I want. But I don't know that I ever want to take it that seriously. I like to practice and I like to play, but I would have to triple what I do now to even maybe get in last cash, I feel, or to be even or maybe I could get up there. I don't want to put myself down, but I just don't have that interest. It's like I enjoy all the stuff that I'm doing, and it sounds you're very similar.
And I'm a disc golf junkie.
Yeah.
The last time I played the GBO, lead card of Open was finishing over in Jones Park, right? And it's just the four of us out there. There's nobody else out there in the entire park. And we're doing our thing. We're finishing. And as soon as we get done, those guys want to hang out and talk. And I'm like, heck no, man. You got Paul Macbeth and Simon over here. What are you waiting on?
Right.
I race over there, and they're finishing the last 2 holes. I'm like, are you kidding me? Yeah. That I think is what I'm missing the most about all this not disc golf is just not being able to watch it. The level those guys are right now is just crazy, the things they're doing.
Yeah.
Just the skill level is just ridiculous.
And the skill level, the camaraderie, just having their regular, even social media presence being out there, but leagues are shut down right now, being able to go out there and do that. A lot of people have taken to this Disc Golf Valley video game. I don't know if you've seen that, but they're.
Oh yeah, I started this week.
Yeah. So I've been playing that as well, but it's having to do things like that, and even from my role with the media is, I have Trilogy Talk, but I have my Underpower Disc Golf channel, which actually I got another piece of history I'll share with you on that. You might remember, but I've been doing footage, round cut footage, highlight footage, and I was in Vegas and Arizona, and I did a little bit last year, but I had my whole schedule this year that I was going to be at a lot of events just doing that stuff. And now this has kind of happened, and I've created this new podcast called Under Par News, which is kind of taking over that, and I enjoy it, but it's like, I really want to be on the course, and I want to be filming Paul Macbeth, and the whole purpose of that channel was to film anybody, not just Trilogy. Is because as a player, I'm a Trilogy fan. As a lover of disc golf, I love everything. And so yeah, it's just I miss being out there. So real quick side tangent, my under par disc golf, which I have had forever. When I ran the KDGA, I started merchandising out at the tournaments, and I did like the CE Classic Rocks and different stuff like that. Well, that was called Under Par Disc Golf. And when I left in 2003, nobody was doing merchandising, so I kept the name. But the very first KDGA, not Kansas Disc Golf, but whatever generic website I created said /under par. So everything I've built over the last 20 plus years has gone from starting with the KDGA.
Yeah.
And I've kept that name ever since. So all right. So I only have another question or two for you here, and then I'm going to let you go. We're at about 45 minutes, and so I'm going to kind of go back to the beginning, and this is more of a curiosity question. But you've been a teacher, you've been a coach, you've been working with kids, physical education. You did that for a while, and I'm thinking of like a Logan Harpool, which I don't think he fits into this case. But have you had any of your students take up disc golf? And have any of them even remotely challenged? Like, are you seeing any of them that are like now close to beating you or have beaten you?
Most of them have quit.
Okay.
You know, but when I lived in Ransom, you might remember Zach Schweitzer.
Yep, I do. Yeah.
He was a junior or senior probably when all that first early KDJ stuff was going on, and I drug him all over the state. His mom would let him come to tournaments, and we'd go stay at my mom's house in Salina or somewhere. So Zach played a lot. And then I went to Winfield, Dodge City for 2 years, and then to Winfield. And there was a group of kids there that would play disc golf. And, Cherry Street Park, one of them lived just a block away. Stephen Deere is his name. We called him Twitch.
Yep, I remember him too.
And pretty sure those little turds would sit on the roof of his grandpa's garage, and when they'd see me come to play, they would all come over there. And there were several kids that were really good in that group. There was Steven was really good. He tennis is what consumes his time right now. He played college tennis. Bryce Hooper was really good at that time. He still plays a little bit, I think. And Caleb Tapia, those kids, they were all good. And if they would have stuck with it, they'd destroy me. They were throwing far and didn't seem like they ever missed a putt either.
So it was a double-edged sword. You're sad to have seen him leave, but at the same time, you're glad life got in the way and they did other things.
Well, I was never sad to see him leave. They drove me crazy.
So, all right. Your competitor, give us the quick, because I don't know if I've ever seen you do one. So give us like the quick 1 minute Smitty in the bag tour. What are you throwing? What are you out on the course beating everybody with?
Well, I can tell you, I start on the left side of my bag. I got a Felon, sometimes two. And I have a couple of Enforcers that are like my, heavier wind discs. Defenders that I only flick with. Ballista Pro, which I use for my long-range shots, as long as they go. And then I have a Emax through a range. My favorite disc, the Suspect, if it's just incredible disc. And then on the other side of my bag, I have my fairway drivers. I have the Vandal, which I know you love, and such a great disc. A Maverick, Beat Up St. Pro, and two Explorers. And then I putt with the Warden.
Okay. Do you drive with the Warden too off the tee when you putt with putters?
Well, I prefer to throw the Suspect on, any putter type shot off the tee. But if it's too straight or too short for that, I throw a Moonshine Warden.
Okay. So, with all this transition of stuff changing, are you going to play Worlds in Emporia whenever it gets back there? Which is supposed to be as of now next year, but obviously it could shift.
No, I'll only be 48. Got to wait till I'm 50.
Well, that's only MPO too. So when it's in Emporia.
Yeah, heck no. I'm not playing those guys.
I didn't know if, being right there in the backyard, but no, I'm the same way. I was like, I'll find a way to volunteer or just come and spectate or hang out or
Doesn't matter
record some
where
people.
you play those guys. They're just too good.
No, absolutely.
I'll probably go and watch Logan.
There you go. Logan will be there. Hopefully he's up there, Give him another couple more years. He's going to be...
Yeah.
I asked him the question too about touring, but he's kind of I don't think he really has that interest too, so he's going to just be a dominant Kansas Midwesterner.
Man, he's going to be so good though.
Yeah, he is good. So, all right. Just very last thing, how can people support you if they want to know more about what you're doing? You have Heisernaut and you're doing some discs and you have various events and stuff you're running. Let people know how they can find you.
Well, you can find me on the Facebook. I'm still that old school. I have an Instagram page that I use once in a while. I just sell a few discs locally and run tournaments, and I don't need support because I got my real job to support my disc golf habits. So.
All right. Well, everybody's watching. He's humble. If you're in the Kansas area, and specifically the Wichita area, reach out to him. He'll come play around with you as long as he's not in class. And, look him up, say hello. And all right, man, I really appreciate you hanging out with us tonight, Chris. Yeah. And, it's good just catching up. It's been a long time since just me and you caught up.
Thanks for having me.
Yep, you have a good night, bud. We'll see you next time. Yep, bye-bye. All right, guys. I appreciate you guys on the board. I really do miss the PDGA stuff a lot. Need to come back a lot. There's a lot of names on there. I like seeing the board, all the people that are involved. Don, who's been around for as long as I have. Jeff, I don't know you as well from the PDGA, but you've definitely been up into my area a few times, and I've gotten to know you from Wichita or from you coming up in this area. Craig Winters, I've seen you around, but definitely like to meet with you and kind of hang out. And of course, got a big history with a lot of the old school guys like Smitty, and just miss being around those guys and hanging out and razzing and joking. And for those who don't live in this area, and I'm sure every area has this group of people, but there's nothing to take serious when you're out with these guys. I mean, even when you're playing, it's not uncommon for one of those guys to miss a 5-foot putt and just laugh it off. I mean, yes, after a while it gets to everybody, but it's just, you can't take it serious, and they're infectious. You watch them and you can't help but not be serious too. I mean, again, everybody's being serious to where they need to be, but nobody is cussing, and nobody is, they're cussing, but they're cussing in a positive way. I mean, even some of the stereotypes that we have within those communities that I remember, and some of those guys are still there, like extremely slow players, it doesn't matter. You'll be on their card and people will just joke and know that they're there. So I appreciate you guys being there. I appreciate you guys tuning in tonight. I'd appreciate it if you guys like, share. If you haven't already subscribed to the YouTube, that stuff goes a long ways when it comes to the YouTube algorithms and for the searching and the promoting. Tomorrow night we'll have Eric Oakley on at the same time, 7 p.m. Central Standard Time. Hope to see some of you guys there. Other than that, we will see you guys all next time. So keep sharing the Trilogy Love with the world. See ya.